I woke up in a novel. Not just any novel, but one of those popular male lead web novels. And I wasn't the hero. I was the fake heir who'd usurped the true one. According to the plot, today was the day the real heir, Blake Thompson, returned to the Thompson family. I was supposed to be kicked out, then spend the rest of my miserable existence messing up, only to eventually be sent to some godforsaken mining operation in Africa by the actual protagonist, Blake. Right now, the living room of the Thompson estate was thick with tension. You could practically cut it with a knife. Grandfather Thompson sat in an ornate mahogany armchair. He was my nominal grandfather, a man whose name alone could make all of Sterling City tremble. Beside him stood a young man, looking nervous but with a gleam of greed and resentment in his eyes. That was Blake Thompson. My parents sat on the sofa, looking guilty at Blake, then occasionally glancing at me with a complicated expression. Ryan, Grandfather Thompson, finally spoke, his voice steady but carrying undeniable authority. You know the situation? Blake is the true bloodline of the Thompson family. I nodded, but inwardly I was thinking, finally, retirement beckons. Being a Thompson heir for over 20 years, honestly, it was exhausting. Every day was filled with learning useless things, attending endless boring galas, and dealing with a parade of insincere people. Now, with my identity revealed, I could finally take the allowance I'd saved up over the years, buy a nice place in a small town, hire a couple of housekeepers, and just spend my days lounging, binge-watching shows, and gaming. Pure bliss. My biggest dream in life was to just chill. Seeing my nod, Blake couldn't suppress a smirk, his triumphant glee practically spilling from his eyes. He probably expected me to throw a fit, cry, and cling to the family for dear life. My nominal mother's eyes welled up. She choked back a sob. "Ryan, we're so sorry. But don't worry, Will." I waved a hand, cutting her off. "It's fine." I stood up, my expression calm, even slightly relieved. "When do we do the paperwork? I can move out today." "Oh, and my car's in that downtown penthouse. Those are direct gifts to me, right? Not considered family assets. I just wanted to sort out my personal property and vanish as quickly as possible to kickstart my grand plan of doing absolutely nothing." The entire living room fell silent. Everyone stared at me with disbelief. Blake's smile froze. Grandfather Thompson's brows furrowed, his sharp gaze pinning me as if trying to see through me. "You don't resent us?" he asked. I chuckled. "Resent what? It's not your fault. Besides, I've lived a life of luxury as a Thompson for over 20 years. I've more than got my fill. It's only natural for things to return to their rightful owner now." I meant that from the bottom of my heart. In my past life, I worked myself to death at my desk. This life, I got 20 years of free luxury. What more could I possibly want? But to their ears, my words took on a completely different meaning. My nominal mother's tears flowed harder. "Ryan, don't be like that. If you're hurting, just cry it out. Seeing you so understanding just breaks my heart even more." My nominal father also looked moved. "Yes, son, you're just too strong-willed." Blake's face, meanwhile, went from pale to green, then green to black. He glared at me, his eyes practically screaming. "What are you trying to pull? You thief. The more magnanimous you act, the more petty I look." I couldn't care less about him. I just wanted to leave. "So, if there's nothing else, I'll head upstairs to pack." I asked tentatively. "Hold it." Grandfather Thompson suddenly roared. He stood up abruptly and walked over to me, his eagle eyes fixed on mine. My heart sank. No way. Are they going to confiscate my savings too? I'll have to argue my case then. To my surprise, Grandfather Thompson pulled a pure black card from his jacket and pressed it into my hand. "Take this card." I looked down, my pupils contracting slightly. It was a Centurion Black card. No spending limit, accepted worldwide. This card wasn't tied to the Thompson Group. It was a product of Grandfather Thompson's personal connections, priceless and unobtainable on the market. Grandfather this. I was bewildered. This wasn't the script. "Take it." Grandfather Thompson's tone brooked no refusal. "Even if you're not my blood, you're still the grandson I, Arthur Thompson, watched grow up. The Thompson family isn't short on money, and we won't treat you unfairly. Consider this car my compensation to you. And every month from now on, the family will deposit $10 million into your account for living expenses." I clutched the cold card, my mind blank. Compensation? $10 million a month for living expenses? What kind of divine development was this? Beside me, Blake's eyes were bloodshot. He stared intensely at the black card in my hand, his breathing growing heavy. Jealousy, resentment, hatred. It was practically consuming him. Grandfather. Why? He finally shrieked. He's a fake, a fraud. Why should he get the Thompson family's money? Have you lost your mind? Insolent. Grandfather Thompson spun around, his gaze like a knife. Blake flinched, but still mumbled defiantly. But it's true. I'm your real grandson. Grandfather Thompson ignored him, patting my hand. He said earnestly, Ryan, I know you feel wronged. But rest assured, as long as I'm alive, no one in Sterling City will dare to bully you. Me? No, I really wasn't wronged. I just wanted to retire. Looking at Grandfather Thompson's, don't be tough, I understand everything expression, I was speechless. The more indifferent I acted, the more they thought I was putting on a brave face, being a mature and heartbreakingly stoic child. Blake's imagination, meanwhile, was going through the roof. He surely thought I was playing some kind of long game, using a facade of magnanimity to gain sympathy and, ultimately, greater benefits. That damn manipulative snake. I looked at his fuming face, then back at the black card in my hand, and suddenly felt. This plot was actually more interesting than I'd anticipated. Lounging isn't just about having money. It's even better when there's someone around to make you look good. I eventually moved out of the main Thompson estate. Not because I was kicked out, but because Grandfather Thompson personally picked out a top-floor Riverview penthouse for me downtown. 360-degree, floor-to-ceiling windows, private pool, and a rooftop garden. He called it, young people like their freedom. It's quieter living on your own. Blake nearly fainted from rage on the spot. He was moved into my old room and apparently smashed everything in it that night, cursing me as a conniving opportunist. I lay on my custom $50,000 mattress, listening to Alfred, the butler, report, and let out a comfortable sigh. If he wants to smash things, let him. It's not my money he's spending anyway. He rolled over. Oh, Alfred, I want a gourmet meal for lunch. The authentic slow-cooked kind. Certainly, young master. Alfred bowed respectfully. Chef Harding, at the Emperor's table, is already preparing it. All ingredients were flown in fresh this morning. Also, you casually mentioned yesterday that the West End property had good feng shui for sunbathing. I've already arranged for us to start negotiations. Me? Question mark. When did I ever say the West End property had good feng shui? Oh, right. Yesterday, passing by, I saw a bunch of old men playing chess and sunbathing in the park, and I mumbled, that spot looks perfect for catching some rays. I just said it offhand. Young master, you truly are a genius. Alfred's face glowed with admiration. How did you know the City Planning Commission would designate the West End as the site for the new CBD? We secured the land, and the news broke right after. The value of that property has skyrocketed, at least tenfold. Me? I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Is this what it feels like to make money just by breathing? This body I got through transmigration, not only did it have top-tier looks and physique, but even top-tier luck. Young master, that feint of yours was brilliant. Alfred grew even more excited. You deliberately moved out of the Thompson family, creating the illusion of a split, making everyone drop their guard. Then you casually mentioned the West End to me. But in reality, you had already discerned the inside scoop on the city's plans. Now we've covertly acquired this prime land, and by the time young Master Blake reacts, it'll be too late. He must think you've lost your influence and are an easy target. But little does he know, this is just the beginning of your counter-strategy. Listening to Alfred's long string of compliments, I felt utterly numb. Buddy, you're overthinking this. I truly, honestly, just wanted to find a nice spot to sunbathe. What could I say? I could only offer a profound, adopting the posture of sage who had everything under control. Don't bother me with such minor details, I said nonchalantly. Just handle it. Yes, young master. Your foresight is unparalleled. I'm truly impressed. Alfred's face flushed with excitement, as if he'd been given a shot of adrenaline. I'll go handle the follow-up immediately. I won't disappoint you. Watching Alfred's invigorated retreating back, I sank into thought again. Were these supporting characters trying too hard? The protagonist, just wanted to chill, and you all are going crazy, helping me make money and take credit. Is this appropriate? Absolutely. At noon, a luxurious meal was placed before me, It's rich, golden broth, thick and savory. I took one bite, and my eyes closed in satisfaction. And this is the life. In the afternoon, I changed into loose athletic wear, slipped on my flip-flops, and headed to my new rooftop garden to catch some sun. As I exited the elevator, I bumped into a woman. She wore a perfectly tailored black business suit, her figure incredibly striking. Her face, stunningly beautiful, was nevertheless covered in a frosty expression, her eyes cold, her powerful aura dropping the surrounding air temperature by several degrees. Selena Stone, the Ice Queen CEO, one of the original novel's heroines, and the head of Stellar Group, the Thompson Group's biggest business rival. According to the original plot, she would be drawn to Blake's diligence and resilience, forming a connection with him and eventually becoming one of his romantic interests. Seeing me, her brow immediately furrowed. Ryan Miller? Her voice, like her person, was cold and sharp. I nodded, a brief greeting, and prepared to walk past her. Sunbathing was my priority. Hold it, she called out again. I turned back, a little annoyed. Ms. Stone, can I help you? Selena Stone's gaze fell on my flip-flops, the disdain in her eyes unconcealed. The supposed heir of the Thompson family, dressed like that to go out? You're truly an embarrassment to the family name. I looked down at my handmade, custom lambskin flip-flops. $20,000 a pair, very comfortable. I've already been disowned by the Thompsons. I reminded her helpfully. I'm just an unemployed nobody now. What I wear shouldn't bother you, Miss Stone, should it? Selena Stone was taken aback, clearly not expecting that response. She was probably here to talk business. After all, I just acquired the West End property, and Stellar Group also had projects in that area. She likely thought I'd be dressed in a custom suit, looking respectable, ready to discuss business with her, as I used to. Unfortunately, I just wanted to sunbathe. Selena Stone seemed to be choked by my casual attitude. She took a deep breath, regaining her ice queen demeanor. Ryan Miller, stop play your spoiled rich kid games. Stellar Group wants the West End property. Name your price. Not selling, I replied without hesitation. Why? I'm keeping it for sunbathing. The air froze again. Selena Stone's expression was the most spectacular I'd ever seen. Shock, bewilderment, disbelief, and finally, raging fury. Her beautiful phoenix-like eyes practically shot flames. Ryan Miller, don't go too far. Do you have any idea how important that land is to Stellar Group? He nodded. That's why seeing you so exasperated makes me feel great. And when I feel great, sunbathing is even more enjoyable. With that, I ignored her and walked straight toward my rooftop garden. Behind me, I heard Selena Stone's voice, trembling with anger. Fine, very well. Ryan Miller, you just wait. I didn't take Selena Stone's threats seriously. A qualified slacker needs stable emotions. In the rooftop garden, the sun was perfect. I lay in my rocking chair, an iced tea and freshly sliced fruit on the small table beside me. A gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers and herbs, making me so comfortable I nearly drifted off to sleep. My phone vibrated. It was a message from Alfred. Young Master Ms. Stone of Stellar Group just contacted me. She wants to acquire the West End property at a 30% premium, but I refused her. Excellent work, I replied with 2 words. Young Master, I can't shake the feeling that things aren't so simple. Selena Stone is known for not giving up until she achieves her goals. The fact that she came to me, knowing you wouldn't sell the land, suggests she might be trying to lull us into a false sense of security. She's likely making other moves behind the scenes. I looked at Alfred's analysis, a little amused. Buddy, you're overthinking this. Selena Stone is just genuinely pissed off at me. No worries, let her stir things up, I replied. Understood, young master. You intend for her to reveal her hand, allowing us to then strike a decisive blow. Brilliant. Truly brilliant. Me. My heart was so tired. It was exhausting dealing with these master overthinkers. I put my phone down, deciding to block all messages and fully enjoy my sunbath. Meanwhile, back at the Thompson estate, Blake Thompson was tearfully complaining to Grandfather Thompson. Grandfather, look at what Ryan is doing. He's using the money you gave him, not to contribute to the family, but to buy land and sunbathe. If word gets out, what about the Thompson family's reputation? He held several photos in his hand, pictures of my confrontation with Selena Stone at the elevator earlier. The angles were clever, making it look as if Selena Stone was deferring to me, while I looked arrogantly dismissive. He even publicly provoked Ms. Stone of Stellar Group. Look at how angry she is. Stellar is an important partner for us. Is he trying to ruin the Thompson family? He's just jealous of me, deliberately tarnishing the Thompson name outside. Blake spoke with righteous indignation, as if I had committed some heinous crime. Grandfather Thompson took the photos, squinting at them for a long time. He didn't fly into a rage as Blake expected, but instead showed a hint of approving smile. This Ryan, Grandfather Thompson murmured. He's quite interesting. Blake was dumbfounded. Grandfather? What are you saying? You wouldn't understand. Grandfather Thompson glared at him. Do you think Ryan is really just sunbathing? Do you think he's deliberately offending Selena Stone? Isn't he? Blake asked, looking confused. Foolish. Grandfather Thompson rapped his cane on the floor. The business world is a battlefield. What seems real is often fake, and vice versa. Ryan is playing a grand strategy. He deliberately puts on this spoiled playboy act to make everyone underestimate him, including Selena Stone. Think about it. Who is Selena Stone? Shrewd, assertive. Would she truly get angry over a few words? She's testing him. And Ryan, he's playing along, rejecting her with the most preposterous reason, which only makes her unable to gauge his true intentions. As for that land, Grandfather Thompson pointed towards the west end. Ryan said he'd use it for sunbathing. And you actually believed him? He's telling everyone that he's taken that land, and no one can stop him. That's dominance. You should learn from him. Blake was stunned by Grandfather Thompson's lecture. Buying land for sunbathing equals playing a grand strategy? Offending a business partner equals a clever counter-strategy? He felt his brain couldn't keep up. But, he still tried to argue. No buts. Grandfather Thompson waved his hand impatiently. Learn more from Ryan. Don't just focus on trivial family matters. You have no vision. Look at him, he's only been out for a day and already made hundreds of millions. And you? Blake's face instantly turned a deep shade of purple. Hundreds of millions? He just realized that the land I had casually pointed out had become a prime piece of real estate. A massive wave of humiliation and frustration washed over him. Why? Why does that fake get all the luck? I won't stand for this. In Blake's eyes, a fierce fire of jealousy ignited. Jealousy makes people do ugly things. Blake decided to teach me a lesson. After much deliberation, he came up with what he thought was a brilliant plan, a honey trap. He paid a hefty sum to hire a notorious manipulator in their circles, a minor influencer named Scarlett Hayes. Scarlett was innocent-looking but provocatively curvy, excelling at playing the victim and manipulating men. Blake gave her a mission. Get close to me, seduce me, take incriminating photos, and ruin my reputation. When it's done, this much, Blake held up 5 fingers. Scarlett's eyes lit up. 5 million. 50 million. Blake gritted through his teeth. I only have one request. I want him ruined. Societally ruined, that is. Scarlett immediately pledged to complete the mission. So, the next day in my private gym, I encountered Ms. Hayes, who had accidentally wandered onto the wrong floor. She wore a pink yoga outfit that accentuated her figure. Seeing me, she gasped, her face instantly flushing, her eyes as flustered as a startled deer. Oh, I'm so sorry. I think I came to the wrong place, she said timidly, yet her eyes kept darting to my body. I had just finished a heavy bench press set, shirtless, my 8-pack abs and V-line shimmering alluringly with sweat. This peak physique I acquired through transmigration was a cheat code. My natural pheromones had a powerful effect on the opposite sex. I could clearly see Scarlett's throat involuntarily bob as she saw my body, the panic in her eyes now mixed with genuine desire. Who are you? I picked up a towel and wiped the sweat from my face, my tone even. I am Scarlett. I live downstairs. I heard sounds here and thought the building management was doing maintenance, so I just came to check. I'm sorry for disturbing you. Her explanation was full of holes. My top-floor penthouse was standalone. There was no one living directly below me. I couldn't be bothered to call her out. It was just a little amusing. It's fine. You can leave now. I waved a hand, ready to continue my workout. For me, nothing was more important than maintaining this perfect body. It was my capital for a life of leisure. But Scarlett didn't leave. She bit her lip, looking on the verge of tears. Sir, I twisted my ankle. It really hurts. With that, she went limp and began to fall towards me. This was her usual tactic. Most men, seeing such a pathetic sight, would instantly rush to catch her. However, she had encountered me, a man who just wanted to chill. Help her? Too much effort. So, just as she was about to fall into my arms, I deftly stepped aside. Thump! Ms. Hayes landed squarely on the floor. She lay there on the cold floor, completely bewildered. This wasn't how the script was supposed to go. I looked down at her, a slight frown on my face. Ma'am, if you're trying to fake an injury for a lawsuit, please find a professional. I don't offer that service here. Scarlett's face instantly flushed crimson, not from embarrassment, but from anger. She had never been so humiliated. But remembering the $50 million reward, she forced herself to suppress her rage, clambered up, her eyes brimming with tears. Sir, how could you say that? I really wasn't doing it on purpose. She tried to continue the act, but I had run out of patience. I just picked up my phone and dialed building security. Hello, security? This is Penthouse, eh? I have an intruder, a stalker. Could you please send someone up to handle it? Yes, Mr. Miller, we'll be right there. The security chief on the other end had a booming voice and acted quickly. Scarlett was completely stunned. Stalker? When did she become a stalker? No, it's not that. Let me explain, she panicked. I ignored her, walked over, grabbed a bottle of water, and chugged it down. My Adam's apple bobbed, and droplets of water trickled down my chiseled jawline, landing on my firm chest, looking incredibly sexy. Scarlett watched the scene, mesmerized again. Only one thought echoed in her mind. This man is ridiculously charming. 5 minutes later, 2 burly security guards burst in. Without a word, they each grabbed one of Scarlett's arms and dragged her out. Let go of me. What are you doing? I'm not a stalker. Scarlett shrieked, struggling. Mr. Miller, our deepest apologies for the trouble. We will definitely strengthen security. The security chief bowed and apologized to me. I waved my hand. It's fine. Thanks for your trouble. Scarlett, being dragged to the door, still wouldn't give up. She turned back and yelled at me, Ryan Miller, you'll regret this. Blake Thompson sent me. She tried to use Blake's name to intimidate me. Unfortunately, she miscalculated. Hearing the name Blake Thompson, not only did I not get angry, I actually smiled. Oh, Blake sent you. I walked up to her, knelt down, pinched her chin, and examined her face closely. Go back and tell Blake his taste is as terrible as ever. With that, I let go, even patting her cheek casually. Now, get out. My action completely enraged Scarlett. She shrieked and lunged at me, clawing. The security guards were quick, dragging her away immediately. The world was finally quiet again. I shook my head and continued my workout. On the other side, Blake received the news of Scarlett's failure and immediately smashed his phone in a fit of rage. Worthless. Can't even handle one man. $50 million down the drain. Ryan Miller, you just wait. This isn't over. After Blake's honey trap failed, things were quiet for 2 days. I was happy for the peace, spending my days eating, sleeping, lifting weights in the gym, or sunbathing in my rooftop garden. My quality of life soared. This afternoon, I was lying in my rocking chair, sipping hand-ground coffee, and watching a dancer perform. That's right, I'd booked an entire dance studio. Simply because 2 days ago, while scrolling through TikTok, I saw a girl performing a stunning contemporary dance. Her posture and aura were exquisite. I casually remarked to Alfred, that dancing is really good. It'd be even more captivating live. And so, this afternoon, that girl, along with her entire studio, was in my living room. Her name was Chloe Davis, an athletic beauty skilled in various dance forms, with a cool, spirited, and heroic demeanor. At this moment, she wore a flowing red costume, performing a mesmerizing dance piece. Her sleeves fluttered, her posture graceful, every glance, every movement filled with power and beauty. I watched, thoroughly entertained. Such peak enjoyment was unimaginable in my past life. When the dance ended, Chloe's forehead was lightly beaded with sweat, her cheeks flushed with a healthy glow. Mr. Miller, are you satisfied? She walked towards me, slightly breathless, her eyes bright. Excellent. I nodded, genuinely praising her. Even better than the video. Chloe smiled, her smile clean and open, with the distinctive cheerfulness of an athlete. Of course, the live experience is different. She paused, then asked curiously, Mr. Miller, you spent so much money to book us, just to watch me dance. What else? I countered. I thought, you might have other demands, Chloe said bluntly. Girls like her, who had hustled in the entertainment industry, had seen countless dirty dealings from the wealthy. This was her first time encountering someone who spent so lavishly purely for appreciation. I'm not interested in casting couch shenanigans. I took a sip of coffee. Just dance well, and you'll be well compensated. Chloe looked at me, a peculiar glint in her eyes. She seemed to have developed a strong interest in me. Just then, my phone rang. It was Selena Stone. I was a bit surprised. Did this Ice Queen CO dare to bother me again? I pressed answer and put it on speaker. Ryan Miller, tonight at 7 at the Elysium. I'll be waiting. Selena Stone's voice was still cold, but it seemed to carry less of her previous hostility, replaced by a hint of something complex. Not going. I refused bluntly. You have to come. Selena Stone's tone was non-negotiable. The bidding for the commercial development rights next to your property is tonight. I got intel that Blake, along with some old geezers, is planning a trap for you. I raised an eyebrow. Blake was courting disaster again. If he sets a trap, what's that got to do with me? I said lazily, the sky can fall, but taller people will hold it up. I just want to sleep well. Selena Stone was silent on the other end. She was probably experiencing, for the first time, a wealthy scion who was so refreshingly unique, completely uninterested in striving for anything. Ryan Miller, what exactly are you trying to do? She finally couldn't help but ask. Are you deliberately putting on this act to make Blake underestimate you? Your scheming runs deeper than I imagined. Me? Another one. Have you all been reading the CEO's secret machinations? Ms. Stone, you're overthinking this, I said helplessly. I really just want to chill. I don't believe you, Selena Stone scoffed. In any case, tonight's dinner is a trap. Do what you will. Don't say I didn't warn you. With that, she hung up. I put my phone down, a headache brewing. Why was everyone so determined to make this lazy guy get off the couch? Chloe, who had heard the entire conversation, looked at me with even more curiosity. Mr. Miller, you seem different from what the rumors say, she said. What do the rumors say about me? Spoiled, arrogant, disdainful of others. And now, Chloe thought for a moment, then chuckled. Now you're like a lazy lion, seemingly harmless, but anyone who dares disturb your sleep will face serious consequences. Ich glänzte her. This girl had a pretty apt comparison. All right, y'all can head home for now, I stood up. I have something to handle tonight. Since someone insisted on walking into my crosshairs, I supposed I could reluctantly stretch my muscles a bit. After all, anyone who disturbs my chilling is an enemy. The Elysium was Sterling City's most exclusive private club. When I arrived, Selena Stone was already there. Tonight, she wore a wine-red strapless gown, revealing her exquisite collarbones and perfect shoulder neckline. Her usually impeccably pinned-up long hair was down, falling in soft waves over her shoulders, making her less severe and more sensually feminine. Seeing me still dressed in a t-shirt and flip-flops, her beautiful brows furrowed again. Can't you dress properly for once? This is comfortable. I pulled out a chair and sat down, pouring myself a cup of tea. Besides, do I need to dress up to meet a bunch of nobodies? Selena Stone was momentarily speechless by my remark, but then a subtle curve appeared at the corner of her lips. You're certainly confident, she said. It's not confidence, it's a fact. I sipped my tea. Where are they? You said it was a trap. Why hasn't the food even been served? As if on cue, the private room door opened. Blake Thompson swaggered in, followed by several pompous, middle-aged men, some of the Thompson Group's older shareholders, whom he had been actively courting recently. Well, Ryan, you actually dare to show up. Blake immediately launched in a mockery when he saw me. He had deliberately worn an Armani custom suit, matching mine in style, hoping to intimidate me. Too bad. The suit was fine, but on him, it looked comically like he was wearing adult clothes. I couldn't be bothered with him. My gaze went straight to the dish on the serving cart behind him. Steamed red snapper? Seems a bit overcooked. I shook my head. Blake's face instantly turned green. His carefully prepared intimidation tactic hadn't even earned a glance from me. I was more concerned about a dish This was blatant disregard. Ryan Miller, don't be so arrogant. A balding man next to Blake slammed the table. You're no longer the Thompson family's young master. We, your uncles, called you here today to give you an opportunity. Oh, what kind of opportunity? I asked with feigned interest. That West End property, the balding man pointed at me. You will transfer it to Blake immediately. We can arrange for you to return to the Thompson Group as a department manager. He said this with his chin held high, wearing an expression that clearly said, I'm doing you a huge favor. I almost burst out laughing. Me, trade land worth hundreds of millions for a department manager position that paid a few thousand a month? Had these people lost their minds? What if I don't? I asked. Oomph. Then don't blame us for being unfriendly. Blake sneered. You think just because you got that prime property, you're hot stuff? Let me tell you, the commercial development rights for the adjacent area are already locked down by us. Then we'll cut off the water and electricity, block the roads, and your land will be worthless. Let's see how you sunbathe then. So this was their plan? Stupid and malicious. Before I could say anything, Selena Stone beside me chuckled. She laughed, her body shaking, her cleavage a captivating sight. Blake, do you really think you have the upper hand? She raised her wine glass, gently swirling the red liquid, her eyes full of mockery. Ms. Stone, what do you mean? Blake frowned. This is a Thompson family matter. It seems to have nothing to do with you. Not yet, but it will soon. Selena Stone put down her glass, pulled a document from her bag, and tossed it onto the table. Stellar Group is officially investing in Mr. Ryan Miller's sunbathing project, acquiring a 49% stake. Furthermore, Stellar is very interested in the West End commercial development rights. I wonder, will you all plan to compete with us? Selena Stone's words exploded like a bombshell in the private room. Blake and the old geezers were all dumbfounded. What? Ms. Stone, why are you helping him? Blake asked in disbelief. I'm not helping him. Selena Stone glanced at me, her eyes complex. I'm just a businesswoman who doesn't want to miss out on a multi-billion-dollar project. She paused, then added, a project that even Mr. Ryan Miller has set his sights on. I believe its prospects are limitless. Me? Lady, I really just want to sunbathe. Your overthinking is completely out of control. Blake's face had turned completely purplish black. He simply couldn't understand why Selena Stone, whom he considered his strongest ally, would suddenly defect and side with his most hated enemy. Impossible. This is impossible, he murmured, dazed. Nothing's impossible. I finally spoke, picked up my chopsticks, and took a piece of fish. Definitely overcooked, the texture's tough. I put down my chopsticks, wiped my mouth with a napkin, and stood up. This meal isn't great. I'll take care of the bill. Gentlemen, enjoy. With that, I walked towards the door without looking back. Selena Stone immediately rose too, her high heels clicking elegantly behind me. At the door, I paused, turning back to glance at the despondent Blake. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you, I smiled. I bought this club yesterday. From now on, if you want to dine here, remember to make reservations in advance. After all, I don't like garbage affecting my appetite in my restaurants. With that, I pulled open the door and strode away. Behind me, the crisp sound of shattering porcelain echoed. Walking out of the private room, Selena Stone followed me closely. Her heels clicked on the carpet, a muffled sound, one beat after another like on my own heartbeat. Why did you help me? I stopped, turning to ask her. I told you, I'm a businesswoman. Selena Stone stood opposite me, her wine-red gown looking particularly alluring in the dim corridor lighting. Do you even believe that reason yourself? I looked into her eyes. Selena Stone fell silent. Of course, she didn't believe it. For my sunbathing project, she had practically staked Stellar Group's entire liquid capital, and in doing so, offended the old power brokers behind Blake. This was not a decision a rational businesswoman would make. She opened her mouth, as if to say something, but finally let out a soft sigh. I just find you very interesting. Interesting? Yes. Selena Stone nodded. Everyone thinks you've lost influence, that you're an easy target to manipulate. Only I know that's not true. You're like an iceberg. Only a small part of you shows above the surface. I chuckled. Ms. Stone, your imagination is truly rich. I'm just a lazy guy who wants to live off my inheritance. Are you? Selena Stone also smiled. She suddenly took a step forward, leaning in close to my ear, her breath warm. Then would you, this lazy guy, be willing to let me invest in you? Her voice had a slight, husky quality, warm breath tickling my ear. I could smell a faint perfume, mixed with the rich aroma of red wine. It was very pleasant. This woman was flirting with me. I admit, for a moment, I was tempted. After all, this body's hormones were not to be underestimated. But I still took a step back, creating distance. Ms. Stone, I'm not interested in business partnerships, and I'm not interested in you either. Are you kidding? Dating a CEO? When would I have time to chill? Just dealing with her every day would be exhausting enough. Hearing my words, Selena Stone's eyes instantly turned cold. She was probably used to never being rejected so bluntly by a man. Ryan Miller, don't be ungrateful. Her voice carried a hint of anger. Ms. Stone, I advise you not to flatter yourself either, I retorted without hesitation. Consider today's matter a favor I owe you. I'll repay it later. For now, I'm going home to sleep. Please move aside. With that, I walked around her and headed straight for the elevator. Selena Stone stood there, watching my determined retreating figure, trembling with rage. In her beautiful phoenix eyes, there was unwillingness, anger, and a hint of something she herself hadn't even noticed. Hurt. Ryan Miller, you stop right there, she called out to my back. I didn't look back, pressing the down button on the elevator. Getting entangled with women was too much trouble. I'd rather go back and get a few more hours of sleep. Back home, I took a hot shower and quickly put Selena Stone and those idiots, Blake and his cronies, out of my mind. Lying in my massive bed, I quickly drifted into sleep. In my dream, I was back in that small town, having bought a house with a yard, raising a dog, and my daily life consisted of walking the dog, fishing, and sunbathing. That was the life I truly wanted. However, the next morning, I was woken by an urgent doorbell. I opened the door, my hair a mess, to find someone I least expected. Selena Stone. She had changed out of her battle-ready business attire and into a simple white dress, without makeup. Her bare face made her seem less aggressive and more innocent. But what shocked me most was what she held in her hand. A thermos. You. I looked at her, still groggy. What are you doing here? I brought you breakfast. Selena Stone held up the thermos, her expression a little unnatural. I made it myself. Me? Question mark. I looked down at the time. 6 in the morning. This billionaire Ice Queen CEO, at 6 in the morning, showed up at my door to deliver a homemade breakfast? Was this world getting too bizarre? I let Selena Stone in. No, I didn't. She squeezed her way in herself. She walked into my kitchen as if she knew the place, opened the thermos, and began taking out dishes one by one. Oatmeal, pastries, and several small, refreshing sides. The aroma instantly filled the kitchen. I wasn't sure what you liked, so I just made a few things, she said, arranging the plates and cutlery. Her tone sounded casual, but her flushed ears betrayed her. I leaned against the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, watching her like she was an alien. Ms. Stone, what exactly do you want? I finally couldn't help but ask. Poison? Or are you trying to drug my food? Selena Stone's movements froze. She spun around and glared at me. Ryan Miller, can't you think better of people? No, I shook my head. Especially with a woman as beautiful as you. Unusual behavior always signals trouble. Selena Stone was clearly infuriated by my words, her chest heaving. But she ultimately held back, taking a deep breath and saying, I don't have any ulterior motives. I just wanted to thank you. Thank me? For what? Thank you for not accepting my investment yesterday. Selena Stone's voice lowered. After you left, I thought for a long time. You were right. I shouldn't mix feelings with business. I apologize for my behavior yesterday. She was apologizing to me? That high and mighty Ice Queen CEO was actually apologizing? I looked at her sincere eyes, a bit surprised. Perhaps she wasn't as annoying as she seemed on the surface. All right, I get it. I walked over to the dining table and sat down. Since it's already here, it'd be a waste not to eat it. I picked up a spoon and tasted the oatmeal. Perfectly cooked, the grains soft and fragrant. The taste was actually pretty good. Decent cooking, I evaluated concisely. Selena Stone's eyes instantly lit up, and the corners of her lips curved into a smile she hadn't even realized she was making. I'm glad you like it. Breakfast was eaten in a rather strange atmosphere. I ate, and she watched. She just rested her chin on her hand, quietly watching me eat, her gaze so soft it could melt. I felt incredibly uncomfortable under her stare. "You're looking at me like that. I can't eat," I said. "Oh, oh." Selena Stone snapped out of her trance, quickly looking down, her cheeks crimson. I finished breakfast quickly, wiping my mouth with a napkin. "All right, Iva eat then. You can leave now." I began to give her the boot. Selena Stone bit her lip, looking reluctant to go. Can I sit here for a while?" she asked softly. "No." "Why?" "You being here interferes with my chilling." Selena Stone. Ultimately, she was ruthlessly chased away by me. As she left, she looked back repeatedly, her eyes as mournful as a jilted lover. I closed the door and let out a long sigh of relief. One down. However, I celebrated too soon. Less than half an hour after Selena Stone left, my doorbell rang again. I thought she was back and went to open the door, annoyed. But standing there was another familiar face. Chloe Davis. She wore a tight dance outfit under a large hoodie, her hair tied in a neat ponytail, looking youthful and energetic. "Good morning, Mr. Miller." She gave me a radiant smile. "What are you doing here?" My brows furrowed. "I'm here to teach you, of course," Chloe said matter-of-factly. "You booked our studio for a month, right? As the lead dance instructor, I naturally have to provide you with personal service. I didn't ask you to come. I know, but I think, as the client, you have the right to the best service. So I came myself," Chloe said, then squeezed past me like a nimble cat. "Mr. Miller, your place is huge. Wow, these floor-to-ceiling windows, the view is amazing." She looked around my living room like a curious child, touching everything. I rubbed my temples, a headache brewing. Another one? Were they coordinating? Could a guy just chill in peace? I eventually couldn't chase Chloe away. This girl was thick-skinned and very good at being persistent. I said I wanted to sleep. She said she could dance soothing lullabies for me. I said I wanted to watch movies. She said she could cosplay movie characters for me. I said I wanted to play video games. She said she could be my co-player, and if she lost, her punishment would be doing squats. Me? I realized I had no way of dealing with her. Fine, if she wants to stay, she can stay. As long as she doesn't bother me. She's just a pretty, dancing decoration. So, the rest of the day unfolded in a very strange way. I lay on the sofa, playing video games, sipping ice-cold cola. Beside me, Chloe, dressed in various dance costumes, alternated between contemporary, ballet, and even sexy jazz. She seemed to have endless energy, dancing from morning until afternoon without barely breaking a sweat. And I didn't even change my position. "Mr. Miller, don't you get bored?" During a break, Chloe sat next to me, asking curiously. "Nope," I said, eyes fixed on screen, not looking up. The happiest thing in life is being able to be legitimately bored. Chloe nodded, seemingly understanding yet not. She looked at my profile as I played, her eyes beginning to glaze over again. "Mr. Miller, you look so cool when you're gaming." My hand twitched, and my character in the game was smack dead by the boss. I turned my head, expressionlessly looking at her. "Ms. Davis, please control your hormones." Chloe stuck out her tongue, making a face. Just then, my phone rang again. A strange number. I casually hit decline, but the caller persisted, calling again. A little annoyed, I answered, my tone grumpy. "Who is this?" "Boo-hoo. Ryan, it's me, Luna." On the other end, a soft, tearful voice. "Luna?" I searched my mind. Luna Chin, the pure and innocent heroine, my nominal childhood friend from the original novel. However, in the original story, after I was kicked out of the family, she immediately cut ties with me and turned to the true heir, Blake. Why was she calling me, crying now? "What do you want?" My tone remained cold. "Ryan, I'm being bullied." "Boo-hoo." Luna cried, her voice a torrent of tears. "Can you please come to the Blue Velvet Lounge? I'm so scared." The Blue Velvet? Wasn't that Sterling City's notorious den of sin? A place where all sorts of shady characters mingled? Why would a good girl like her go there? A myriad of possibilities flashed through my mind. Then, I reached a conclusion. This was probably another one of Blake's schemes. He was likely still holding a grudge, trying to set me up using Luna. Busy? I flatly refused. Playing the hero? Not happening. Rescuing someone was too tiring. I'd rather play a few more rounds of games. Ryan, Luna's voice on the other end was filled with disbelief. How could you? How could you do this to me? Aren't we? Aren't we best friends? We're not. I corrected her. We used to be, but not anymore. With that, I hung up and immediately blocked her number. The world was quiet again. I grabbed my cola, taking a satisfying sip. However, Chloe, beside me, was looking at me with a very strange expression. Mr. Miller, she hesitated, then spoke. Was that your girlfriend just now? No. Then, was it a girl who needed help? Then, are you really not going to help her? Chloe's brows furrowed. What if she's really in danger? I glanced at her, countering, do you think a girl who willingly goes to a place like that in the middle of the night is going to be some innocent lamb? Chloe was stunned. In this world, 99% of troubles are self-inflicted, I said calmly. I have no obligation to pay for other people's foolishness. But, no buts. I interrupted her. Ms. Davis, you're a smart person. You should understand one thing. Don't easily feel unnecessary sympathy for others' problems, because you never know if they truly need help or if they just want to drag you down with them. Chloe fell silent. She looked at me, her eyes filled with complex emotions. She felt what I said made sense, but also that I was too cold. I couldn't be bothered to explain further, picking up my game controller, ready to start another round. However, just then, my phone rang again at an inconvenient time. This time, it was Alfred. As soon as I answered, I heard his anxious voice. Young master, this is bad. Something's happened. What is it? I frowned, a bad feeling forming in my gut. Young Master Blake. He brought people to the Blue Velvet Lounge and caused trouble. He's been detained. Alfred's voice trembled. Me? Question mark. Blake? Wasn't he supposed to be waiting in the bar to watch my downfall? How did he end up detained himself? What exactly happened? I asked. I just got the news, Alfred quickly explained. It seems young Master Blake tried to stand up for Ms. Luna, but he accidentally offended the secret owner of the Blue Velvet. Now, they're specifically demanding you come retrieve him. After hearing that, I almost burst out laughing. This plot, it was getting more and more ridiculous. Did that idiot Blake think that just because he was the true Thompson heir, he could do whatever he wanted in Sterling City? He didn't even bother to ask who was behind the Blue Velvet. That was Kingpin Reed, the city's underworld emperor, who had connections on both sides of the law. A ruthless character my own grandfather had to show some deference to. Blake going his turf to stir up trouble? That was like an old man hanging himself, tired of living. Young master, what? What should we do now? Alfred asked cautiously. Do about what? I yawned. Let him fend for himself. I'd be happy if Kingpin Reed threw him in the river to feed the fish, saving me the trouble of him constantly popping up and ruining my lazy mood. But, Grandfather Thompson, Alfred said, troubled. Grandfather Thompson already knows. He told me, no matter what, to bring young Master Blake back safely. I fell silent. Grandfather Thompson had been genuinely good to me. If he asked, I couldn't refuse. Damn it, more overtime. I irritably ran a hand through my hair, standing up from the sofa. All right, I get it. I'll go. Young master, I'll arrange a car and bodyguards immediately. No need. I interrupted him. I'll go myself. Hanging up, I looked at Chloe beside me. She was watching me with a worried expression. Mr. Miller, are you going? It's very dangerous there. No choice. Some idiots just need me to clean up their messes. I sighed, picking up my jacket from the sofa. I'll go with you. Chloe suddenly stood up. What would you do there? I've studied self-defense, and I even won a kickboxing championship. I can protect you. Chloe puffed out her chest, her face serious. I looked at her small frame, a little amused. But then I reconsidered. Taking her along might not be bad. At least, the journey wouldn't be so boring. Fine, keep up. I drove my Bugatti Veyron, with Chloe, speeding toward the Blue Velvet. At the bar entrance, 2 rows of men in black stood guard, each with bulging temples and fierce eyes, clearly trained fighters. Seeing me get out of the car, a bald man at the front immediately approached. You must be Mr. Ryan Miller? Our boss has been waiting for you. I nodded and followed him inside. Inside the bar, the music had stopped. In the center of the dance floor, Blake and Luna were being held down, trembling. Blake's face was swollen like a pig's head, blood streaking from the corner of his mouth. He looked utterly pathetic. Luna's face was pale with fright, her makeup smeared from crying. Seeing me enter, Blake's eyes instantly flared with venom. "Ryan Miller, you jinx! This is all your fault," he shrieked. I ignored him, my gaze falling directly on the man seated in the central booth. He wore a tailored jacket, twirling 2 walnuts in his hand. He looked to be in his 40s, his face refined, but his eyes were sharp like a hawk's. This was Kingpin Reed. "Kingpin," I walked over and naturally sat opposite him. Kingpin Reed lifted his eyelids, glanced at me, then at Chloe behind me, a meaningful smile playing on his lips. "Ryan, long time no see. New girlfriend? Good taste." "Just a friend," I said calmly. "Kingpin, about tonight, my brother here was out of line. I apologize on his behalf. Name your price." Kingpin Reed chuckled, putting down the walnuts. "Ryan, you're being too formal. Your brother is my brother, too, isn't he? It's only right for an elder brother to teach a younger one a lesson when he's out of line." As he spoke, his gaze swept over Blake on the floor, making Blake shiver. However, Kingpin Reed's tone shifted. He can avoid death, but not punishment. He trashed my place tonight and injured several of my men. That, at least, needs some explaining, right? Indeed, I nodded. "What do you suggest?" Kingpin Reed held up 2 fingers. 2 options. First, he can kowtow every 3 steps, from here all the way to the Thompson Estate front gates. Then, this matter is settled. Blake's face went white. Kowtow from here to the estate? How would he ever show his face in Sterling City again? And the second? I asked. "The second, well..." Kingpin Reed looked at me and smiled. "I hear you've been on a lucky streak lately. You casually point at a piece of land, and its value multiplies tenfold. How about you play a couple of rounds with me?" I understood. He was eyeing my land. No, to be precise, he was eyeing my miraculous luck. "What do you want to play?" I asked. "The simplest game, dice. High or low?" Kingpin Reed clapped his hands, and a dice cup was immediately brought over. "Best 2 out of 3. If you win, you take your people and go, and I'll even give you a grand gift. If you lose..." Kingpin Reed pointed at Chloe behind me. "You and your pretty little girlfriend will stay here and keep me company tonight." The moment he said that, the atmosphere in the entire bar dropped to freezing point. Chloe's face instantly went pale. She instinctively gripped my arm, her body trembling slightly. I could feel that she was genuinely scared. I patted her hand, signaling her to relax. Then I looked up at Kingpin Reed and smiled. "All right," I said. "I'll play." The game began. First round, Kingpin Reed personally shook the dice. His technique was professional. The dice cup flew up and down in his hands, yet not a sound was heard. He was a master. No more bets. Kingpin Reed slammed the dice cup down on the table. "I bet low," I said. Kingpin Reed smiled. "I bet high." He lifted the dice cup. 4, 5, 6, 17. High. I lost. Chloe's face grew even paler, her grip on my arm tightening. Blake, on the floor, revealed a gloating smile. Second round. This time, it was my turn to shake. I didn't have his fancy techniques. I just picked it up, gave it a couple of casual shakes, then slammed it down on the table. "I bet high," I said. Kingpin Reed squinted at me for a long time, seemingly trying to read something from my expression. Unfortunately, I remained expressionless the whole time. "I'll match," he said. I lifted the dice cup. 6, 6, 6. 18. Triple 6 is a total kill. I won. Kingpin Reed's expression changed for the first time. He stared intently at the 3 dice, his eyes filled with disbelief. "You cheated," Blake suddenly shrieked. I ignored him, just looking at Kingpin Reed. "Kingpin, want to continue?" Kingpin Reed took a deep breath, waved a hand, signaling his men to silence Blake. "Continue," he gritted out. Third round, the decider. Still Kingpin Reed shaking. This time, he put all his effort into it. The dice cup in his hands practically became a blur. By the time he slammed the cup down, sweat was beading on his forehead. "Ryan, this time, you choose first," he said. Everyone's gaze was fixed on me. Chloe was so nervous, she forgot to breathe. But I smiled. I picked up the whiskey glass on the table and drained it. Then, I inverted the glass on the table and looked at Kingpin Reed. "I don't choose," I said. Kingpin Reed was stunned. "What do you mean?" What I mean is, I pointed to the dice cup in front of him. You don't need to open it. Why? Because your 3 dice have already turned to powder. The moment my words fell, the entire bar fell silent. Kingpin Reed's face instantly turned ashen. He reached out with trembling hands and slowly lifted the dice cup. Inside, it was empty. No, not empty. It was a layer of white powder. The dice had truly shattered. How is this possible? Kingpin Reed murmured, dazed. When he shook the dice just now, he used internal force. That kind of power could crush steel ball bearings, let alone dice. But he never expected me to be even more ruthless. I hadn't even touched the dice cup. Just as he slammed it down, I used a subtle, almost imperceptible surge of energy, shattering the dice inside from a distance. This was another bug I discovered in this body after transmigration. A peak physique not only brought strength and speed, but also a form of internal energy. Although I wasn't very proficient with it yet, it was excellent for showing off occasionally. Kingpin, you concede. I stood up and straightened my clothes. Kingpin Reed looked at me, his eyes filled with reverence and fear. He knew he had provoked someone he couldn't afford to offend today. Mr. Miller. His form of address had changed. I was blind not to recognize your stature. Please, in your great generosity, forgive me this once. With that, he actually started to get up to bow me. It's fine. I waved my hand. Can I take my people and leave? Yes, of course you can. Kingpin Reed nodded furiously. Mr. Miller, the grand gift I mentioned earlier still stands. From today, 20% of the Blue Velvet Lounge's shares are yours. I raised an eyebrow, but didn't refuse. Free money, why not? I walked over to Blake and Luna, looking down at them. Get out, I said. Blake scrambled up from the floor, his eyes filled with terror. He didn't dare say a word, grabbing the still-dazed Luna and stumbling out. Problem solved. I turned to leave. Chloe followed closely behind me, watching my back, her beautiful large eyes sparkling with adoration. In that moment, to her, I was like a superhero who had descended from the heavens to save the world. On the way back, the atmosphere in the car was a little subtle. Chloe sat in the passenger seat, not saying a word, just constantly stealing glances at me from the corner of her eye. Her gaze was so intense it felt like it could melt me. Am I that interesting? I suddenly asked. Huh. Chloe jumped like a startled rabbit. No, I wasn't looking at anything. She quickly looked down, her face as red as a ripe apple. I chuckled, not teasing her further. I dropped her off at her dance studio. She unbuckled her seatbelt, but didn't get out immediately. Mr. Miller. She bit her lip, hesitated for a long time, then finally mustered the courage to say, Today. Thank you. No problem. No, I really must thank you, she insisted. If it weren't for you today. She didn't finish, but the meaning was clear. You saved me. I don't know how to repay you. She twirled her fingers, her voice barely a whisper. How about, I offer myself to you. Puff. The sip of water I had just taken almost came out of my nose. I turned my head, looking at her face, which was crimson with embarrassment, and couldn't help but laugh. Ms. Davis, that's not really a thing anymore. But I'm serious, she said anxiously, looking up, her eyes incredibly sincere. Mr. Miller, I like you. From the first moment I saw you, I fell for you. You're different from all the men I've ever met. You're incredibly charming. This was probably the most direct confession I had ever heard in my life. I admit, I was a little touched by her bravery and straightforwardness. But, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in you. I still refused. Dating was too tiring. It would seriously impact my grand plan of chilling. Chloe's eyes instantly dimmed. Why? She asked unwillingly. Am I not pretty enough? Or is my figure not good? You're very pretty, and your figure is great, I said truthfully. But those aren't my standards for a girlfriend. Then what are your standards? My standards are, I thought for a moment, then said, she'd preferably be mute, unable to speak, so she wouldn't bother me. She'd preferably be a vegetable, lying in bed all day, so I wouldn't have to accompany her. She'd preferably not exist, so I wouldn't have to date at all. Chloe. She looked at me, her expression shifting from bewilderment to shock, and finally, to helpless amusement. Mr. Miller, you're truly a strange person, she finally concluded. Thanks for the compliment. Chloe eventually got out of the car. She stood by the roadside, waving at me, a hint of helplessness on her face, but more so, a determined glint in her eyes. "Mr. Miller, I won't give up," she called out to my retreating car. I shook my head, stepped on the gas, and disappeared into the night. Back home, I threw myself into the bathtub and enjoyed a comfortable hot bath. This day had certainly been a whirlwind. First Selena Stone, then Chloe, and now the half-dead Blake. My chilling plan seemed to be facing unprecedented challenges. Just as I was about to fall asleep, my phone rang. Another unknown number. I closed my eyes, fumbled for it, and answered without looking. "Hello. Ryan, it's me." Selena Stone's cold, yet subtly concerned, voice came from the other end. "I heard you went to the Blue Velvet tonight. Your intelligence network is quite efficient, Ms. Stone," I said lazily. "Are you all right?" Kingpin Reed is not someone to be trifled with. "I'm fine," I said, "and he probably won't dare to bother me again." Selena Stone was silent for a moment. "Ryan Miller, what kind of person are you exactly?" she asked softly. She had asked this question several times today. "I'm just me, an ordinary guy who wants to live off his inheritance," I said. "I don't believe you." Selena Stone's tone was firm. "Did you do something again tonight?" "I just played 2 rounds of dice with him. And I won." That's it. Selena Stone stopped talking again. I could imagine her currently in a frenzy of overthinking. All sorts of scenarios, destroying an enemy with a laugh, hearing thunder in the silence. Let her be. "Ms. Stone, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. I'm in the bath, and the water's getting cold." "Wait a minute," Selena Stone hastily called out. "Now what?" She seemed to find it difficult to speak. Can I come deliver breakfast to you again tomorrow?" Me. I realized that these women seemed to have one thing in common. They didn't listen to a single word I said. The next day, Selena Stone indeed came again. Not only her, but Chloe also came. One carrying a thermos, the other in her practice clothes. The two met head-on at my apartment door, their eyes clashing, and sparks instantly flew in the air. "Ms. Stone, what are you doing here?" Chloe was the first to speak, her smile sweet but laced with hostility. "I'm here to bring Ryan breakfast." Selena Stone held up the thermos, her expression cool, her aura powerful. "Ms. Davis? So early? Are you hoping to sponge off someone else's meal?" "I'm Mr. Miller's private dance instructor, here to give him a lesson," Chloe retorted, unwilling to back down. "Private instructor?" Selena Stone scoffed. "As far as I know, Ryan doesn't have a habit of hiring instructors." "Then you might not know him very well." "Whether I know him or not is none of your concern, Ms. Davis." I opened the door with a yawn, greeted by this scene of 2 women battling for a man. My head started to throb. "What are you 2 arguing about at my door?" I said testily. "Don't you know you're disturbing the neighbors?" Even though I was the only resident on this floor. Seeing me, the 2 immediately stopped arguing and turned to me in unison. "Ryan, Mr. Miller, I made crab benedict for breakfast," Selena Stone said. "I can perform my new anime dance for you." Chloe said. I felt like I hadn't transmigrated into a male lead web novel, but some strange otome game. I took a deep breath, telling myself to stay calm. "Come in, both of you," I said. Ultimately, breakfast was finished in an extremely peculiar atmosphere. I ate. Selena Stone served me food, and Chloe watched us from the side with mournful eyes. After eating, I lay down on the sofa, ready to begin my grand chilling plan for the day. Selena Stone naturally sat beside me, picking up a financial newspaper, pretending to read, but her peripheral vision was constantly on me. Chloe turned on the stereo, changed into a cute anime-inspired outfit, and started performing a soft, adorable dance. My living room was a strange juxtaposition, one side filled with corporate intrigue, the other with an anime-style cute girl. The styles clashed dramatically, and I, at the center of the storm, just wanted a peaceful nap. Just as I was drifting off, my phone rang. Another unknown number. I frowned and answered. "Hello, is this Mr. Ryan Miller?" A sweet female voice on the other end. "It is. Who is this?" "Hello, we're from Fashion Code magazine. We'd like to invite you to be our next cover feature. Do you have time?" "Me? Question mark. Fashion Code? Wasn't that a top national fashion magazine? Why were they looking for me? Did you dial the wrong number?" I asked. "No mistake, Mr. Miller. The voice was confident. Your photo, taken a few days ago, of you wearing flip-flops outdoors, caused a sensation in the fashion world. Our editor-in-chief believes you're pioneering a new anti-fashion trend and would love to do an in-depth interview with you. After hearing that, I was completely dumbfounded. I just casually wore flip-flops out. How did that become a trend? Are people in the fashion world just that bored? Not interested. I refused outright. Magazine shoots? Interviews? That sounded exhausting. I just wanted to chill. Mr. Miller, please don't refuse so quickly. The person on the other end sounded anxious. You can name your own terms. And we've also invited the nation's top photographers and styling team. I said, not interested. I hung up directly. However, as soon as I hung up, another call came in. Ryan, it's me, Lily. A voice so sugary sweet, it could curdle milk. My mind started searching again. Lily Chun, the sweet voice streamer, another of the original novel's potential love interests. How did she find me, too? What do you want? Ryan, I'm live streaming right now. Could you come to my stream and join me? I miss you so much. I felt my temples throbbing. What did these women think I was? Fresh meat? Did they all want a bite? I didn't want to get tangled with them anymore. I made a decision, one that I might regret, but for now, seemed to be the only way to get some peace. I stood up from the sofa, looking at the three distinctly different, yet equally beautiful women in my living room. I have an announcement to make, I said, expressionless. The three looked at me in unison. Starting today, I'm going into seclusion. Seclusion? The three asked in unison. Yes, I nodded. I'm going to find a place where no one can disturb me and just quietly chill until I come out of seclusion. None of you are to look for me. With that, I picked up my phone and called Alfred. Alfred, buy me an island. One with no signal, no people, and beautiful scenery. I'm going there to chill. Alfred's efficiency was, as always, top-notch. The next day, I boarded a helicopter heading to my private island. It was a volcanic island in the South Pacific, with beautiful scenery and a pleasant climate. Most importantly, it was secluded with no signal whatsoever. It was practically a chilling paradise custom-made for me. Before I left, Selena Stone, Chloe Davis, and Lily Chun, who somehow got the news, all came to the airport to see me off. Three women, a whole drama. Their chattering gave me a headache. Ryan, are you really going? There's nothing on that island. You'll be bored to death. Selena Stone frowned, looking disapproving. Mr. Miller, can I come with you? I can dance to entertain you on the island. Chloe tugged at my arm, her voice pitiful. Ryan, don't go. Lily will miss you so much. Lily Chin hugged my other arm, rubbing against it. It took me Herculean effort to break free from their tender trap. My mind is made up, I said for words, and boarded the helicopter without looking back. Watching their figures shrink below, I let out a long sigh of relief. The world was finally quiet. Life on the island was paradise. Every day, I slept until I naturally woke up, then went for a swim in the ocean or fished. In the afternoon, I sunbathed on the beach, sipping coconut water and watching the seagulls in a daze. In the evenings, I lay on the villa's terrace, gazing at the starry sky, pondering life. This secluded existence, undisturbed by anyone, was the life I had always dreamed of. I thought such days could last forever. However, a month later, a yacht shattered the island's tranquility. I was lying on the beach sunbathing when I saw a luxury yacht slowly approaching my small island. My brow furrowed. I had a bad feeling. The yacht docked, and several people disembarked. Leading them was no other than Selena Stone. Beside her were Chloe Davis and Lily Chin. Even Scarlett Hayes, the minor influencer who once tried to scam me, and my nominal childhood friend, Luna Chun, were there too. 5 women, 5 different styles, standing in a neat row, as if participating in a beauty pageant. How did you find me? I sat up from my lounge chair, asking testily. If there's a will, there's a way. Selena Stone tucked a strand of wind-blown hair behind her ear, smiling alluringly at me. Mr. Miller, we've come to bring you supplies. Chloe shook a large box in her hand. Ryan, I miss you so much. Lily Chun made a heart shape with her hands at me. I looked at them, my head splitting. Didn't I tell you not to disturb me? We're not here to disturb you, Selena Stone said. We're here to join you. Join me? Yes. Selena Stone nodded, then pulled a document from her bag. I've handed Stellar Group over to a professional manager. From now on, I'll stay here and chill with you. I've disbanded my studio too. Chloe immediately said, for now on, I'll only dance for you. I've retired from the industry too, Lily Chin said. From now on, I'll only sing for you. Scarlett and Luna also timidly expressed that they were willing to stay and be my maids, serving tea, pouring water, doing laundry, and cooking. I listened to their words, completely numb. What in the world was going on? I just wanted to chill peacefully by myself. Why was it so hard? I looked at these 5 beautiful women, each with their own unique charm, then at the sun, the sand, the waves. A ridiculous thought suddenly popped into my head. Maybe chilling with a group of people wasn't so bad after all. I ultimately accepted this setup. There was no other way. I couldn't chase them away, and they wouldn't listen if I scolded them. What else could I do? I was desperate too. Thus, my private island went from single-player chilling mode to harem chilling mode. Selena Stone, as expected of someone who had been a CEO, had first-class management skills. She quickly organized island life perfectly. When to eat, when to entertain, when to engage in deep conversations. Everything was meticulously planned. Chloe and Lily were responsible for entertainment. One danced, the other sang, turning my island life into a small arts festival. Scarlett and Luna truly became maids. Every day, they conjured up delicious dishes for me, exploring various cuisines. My god-tier taste buds were greatly satisfied. And I, as the island's only man, the sole king, all I needed to do was enjoy. Enjoy their adoration. Enjoy their service. Enjoy this imperial and extravagant lifestyle. Occasionally, Alfred would report on the outside world via satellite phone. Apparently, after I went into seclusion, Blake went completely off the rails. He thought I was genuinely out of the picture and began to throw his weight around within the Thompson Group, alienating dissenters and turning the company into a mess. Grandfather Thompson was utterly disappointed in him and tried several times to get me to return and take charge, but I refused. Are you kidding? Go back and deal with that dumpster fire? I'd rather catch more sun on the island. As for Blake's ultimate fate, I could guess it with my toes. Without the protagonist's halo, he was just a useless idiot. Being ruined by those cunning old shareholders was only a matter of time. I couldn't be bothered with him. I just wanted to enjoy my life now. This afternoon, the sun was perfect. I lay by the villa's pool. Selena Stone massaged my shoulders, Chloe fed me fruit, and Lily sang some anime songs I didn't understand nearby. In the distance on the beach, Scarlett and Luna were preparing the evening seafood barbecue. Everything was so harmonious, so beautiful. I comfortably closed my eyes, feeling like I had reached the pinnacle of my life. To have transmigrated like this, I must be both unprecedented and unrivaled. What face-slapping and leveling up. What vie for supremacy. Nothing compared to just lounging comfortably like this. This truly was the highest realm of web novel enjoyment. I opened my mouth, caught a grape Chloe offered, and thought lazily, so sweet.